Hey, happy New King's Day, everybody. There's some points I want to bring up to you for the last few days and a few questions I want to bring up. So, I was going through American history during the American Revolution, what led up to that revolution, or what they call dictatorship. So, in April 19th, 1775, there was the shots known across the world, known as the Battle of Lexington and Concorde. Then, June 14th, 1775, the First Continental Army was established, led by George Washington. November 10th, 1775, under the command of Major Samuel Nicholas, the United States Marines were established. Now, where I'm going with this? Okay, so King Ding decided not only deploy the army, but the Marines in LA. Now, why he want to do this? The answer is to flex his muscle. Now, here's the thing about the military, and if I was a soldier, I know you're supposed to follow orders, but if there's any orders that are not constitutional, then you should not follow them. Okay? Now, how you can take orders from someone who call you suckers and losers and draft dodge himself? That's the thing. Now, I want to throw a question out to Pete Hegseth, Secretary of Defense. Now, Pete, you talk about waste and fraud in the military, right? And there has to be a budget. Okay, so explain to the American people $92 million spent for this donkey's parade. That's waste. That's $92 million that could be used to help veterans with food, housing, clothing that can't afford it. $92 million could help the homeless. But no, you want to use $92 million to give this dude a parade, which he's a 34-time felon, have no honor. He contradicts the Constitution. He belligerents the American people. He deports people illegally. But yet, you're going to give him a parade? Look, Pete, everyone has a birthday, but not once the Bushes, the Clintons, the Obamas, the Reagans, even Richard Milhouse Nixon used the military for birthdays. Even when Obama got a Osama bin Laden Mayday, Obama didn't celebrate with the military marching up and down Washington. Dwight D. Eisenhower, who was the commanding general of D-Day, 1944, and later become president, he didn't use the military to exercise. He won the presidency, or that was a reminder that he's the one that gave the United States and the Allies their victory over D-Day. So what makes this dude so special? Pete, you served, right? So how can you defend this person that called your brotherhood, defenders of the Constitution, men of honor, suckers and losers? There's no way you could justify that. J.D. Vance, I'm not gonna let you off the hook. You're the next person I'm gonna go to. Vice President J.D. Vance, you served under the United States military. How do you feel that your boss is deploying the military out in the streets and 2 reporters got shot? How are you gonna justify that? How are you gonna justify his actions when the LAPD had everything under control. There was no necessary means to deploy the military into California. Now, the only thing I could think of, the reason why he did it was all a political ploy, because back in the first administration, I think Gavin Newsom was the governor at the time, put diaper baby in his place, and he got butthurt. So, what do narcissists do? I'm gonna tell you what narcissists do best. They remember, and in their mind, they will find ways to get you back. So, when a protest broke out, this was a perfect means of flexing my muscle. You made fun of me, so I'm going to deploy the military in your state and make you look bad. The dude was just being petty, and you went along with it. Vance, you could have been a reason to say, no, this is not going to be a good idea. This is going to end bad. Christine Nome, I'm calling you out. You're supposed to be Homeland Defense. Not Homeland Homeland Defense. Why you didn't say nothing? Cash Patel, you're the FBI director. You should have looked into this, investigated. Like I said, back to Pete Hegseth, Department of Defense. You could have stopped this. Pam Bundy, of all people, the Attorney General. I'm calling the Poontang Clan out on this, because all of y'all could have stopped this, but y'all didn't. You could have had an investigation, but y'all didn't. Now the American people are wondering what's next going to happen. Now, my question is, June 14th, which marks the 250th anniversary of the proud United States Army, who served with honor, unlike the felon. What's gonna be next? He said the enemy within. He said there's gonna be a civil war. He want a war. I can tell you why he wants a war, and I know, and he's pressing people to the brink of a civil war, because by pressing the brink to war, he can invoke all these laws and put America under martial law, which freezes elections, which freezes our rights, which makes him a dictator. Now, under his first administration, people, let's go back to the first administration, where there was total silence for 2 hours. No interpreter, no cameras, no reporters. Is known as the Helsinki meeting with Putin. What went behind closed doors at that meeting? So what this dude is doing up to this date, it didn't start today. It started as the first administration. And what has led up to this day, it's been 50 years in the making, trying to jam it up the Supreme Court with all these bogus cases. And why these bogus cases getting jammed up? Simply, so you got people like Elon Musk, Mark Zuckerberg, Jeff Bezos, aka the tech bros, but I don't call them tech bros, I'll call them tech hoes. Because if you go back to the inauguration of the felon, who was in the front seat? Zuckerberg, Muskrat, and Beho. All of them. So what was in it for them? Now, if you notice that a lot of these programs are guardrails and protection agencies that put them in check, they're gone. Why? Simple. Bezos' business practices and under investigation. Elon Musk, his cars were blown up, and his bad business practices. Google was under investigation with a monopoly of 98% of search engines. Now, with that being said, they all bend the knee so they get what they want. So when she got back in the office, all that was erased. Now, here's the thing. Now, June 14th, no King say, it's all gonna come out, and people are marching peacefully. But he's gonna do something to invoke the military, not only in California but everywhere else across America. And he's saying, "Oh, these," so he can have the Insurrection Act. What's the point for the Insurrection Act? Because under the First Amendment, there's a big time violation, and this is probably what Putin and him was talking about for him to become a dictator. You chip away at the Constitution. You make people afraid of you. So you chip away the media, make them scared of you by telling them, "I'm gonna threaten your livelihood. I'm gonna shut you down. I'm gonna jail you." He's bullying his way to being a dictator. So basically, if you bully the people under the First Amendment right, freedom of speech, press, assembly, religion, and all those guidelines, if you start chipping away and make people afraid of you where they don't get out on march because they feel like it's a trap, because they're afraid to go to jail, then you got them. Checkmate. So with that being said, then with the media, David Pakman said this back in December of 2024. YouTube been shadow banning content creators who were telling the truth. I was one of those because I've been noticing my stuff was not hitting the algorithm. Why YouTube have bend the knee to this wannabe dictator? What is YouTube afraid of? YouTube, get a clue. If you're that afraid of them, why you bend the knee? Okay. Now, to all the people who's out there, ask this question about the American Revolution. So, the American Revolution started out in Lexington and Concorde. So, is New York the new Lexington could be the next Concorde? We got Lexington, California. So is there gonna be a civil war in this country? Because here's a dude who's unhinged, hell bent into power, sensitive because he don't want no one speaking bad of him. He don't know he's a narcissist, no accountability, and he's blatantly throw corruption in our faces. Kind of saying what the federal courts are going to do about it. We're going to do something about it. We're going to pressure our congressmen and invoke the 25th Amendment and impeachment. Now, here's the thing about that, going back to J.D. Vance. There was a meeting, I don't know what time it was. It was sometime to the night. He met with Rupert Murdoch. The question is, what was Rupert Murdoch and J.D. Vance was talking about? Or are they trying to plan to get rid of him? It's kind of like how my father used to say it. Rest in peace, Lavelle Garrett. You serve your purpose. So basically, when Diaper Baby caused all this chaos, being unhinged, are they gonna give him the boot and put J.D. Vance in so they could continue their agenda of Project 25? It's a thought. Allegedly. We don't know. But like the owl said in the Tootsie Roll Tootsie Pop, the world may never know. So we have to let everything play out. And the thing that's kind of troublesome, if we're such a Christian nation, if we're such a peaceful nation, then why we are invoking the military on people who just protested in peace and is speaking up of this disdain of their government? Walt Emerson Thoreau was talking about civil disobedience in an event that your government is doing something that you don't like, well, especially a diaper baby, he's doing everything that we don't like, then you have a right for civil disobedience. But as long as it's peaceful. Walt Emerson Thoreau. And back then, during Jesus' time, Jesus got mad. Why did Jesus get mad? We turned his house into a den of thieves. Now look at today. The diaper baby, Jeff Bezos, Mark Zuckerberg, Elon Musk. They're getting richer. They're turning the Christian house or grifting into a den of thieves. Elon Musk is getting contracts. And he's getting richer through them. I'm not gonna use a legend on this one. That was the deal between Diaper Baby and him, because Elon Musk said that if it wasn't for me, that he wouldn't be president. Then Diaper Baby's response was, if it wasn't for me, he wouldn't have his government contracts. I'm not going to use no allegedly on this. It was reported. It was said. I'm not, like Barack Obama said, how I can make this shit up? You can't. If it's documented, if it's recorded, then it's evidence. Enough said on that. Now, fam, go out there, do the right thing, be peaceful, and if they say disperse, then disperse peacefully, then later on reorganize someone else. Continue the process peacefully, because you do have a voice, you do have a choice, and remember, it's not only No King's Day, but happy birthday to the United States Army, who served over 250 years of protecting the United States Constitution.